Hello, 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 good people, and welcome to Happy, Healthy, Whole with Sharia. It is Wednesday Wisdom, where I talk about all things thriving, all things growing, thriving, and living well related to private practice. And for mental health professionals, I'm really gearing in and making the subjects focus on that since that is my area of expertise. And I want to be able to share and share and share, but also understanding how I feel about legacy, share what I have so that way as I transition from private practice to really developing into a consulting slash hopefully training program that will probably put me at less contact with clients. I want to give away what I got, right? I hope that that makes sense. And so today I'm actually going to tell you why or talk to you about what makes me when it comes to being able to grow, thrive, and really create a practice that allows me to also live well, right? As I get prepared in my get up today to go travel to a basketball game in Denver. These are examples of the things that I enjoy in life around just making sure not only I'm servicing others, but I'm also taking care of myself and enjoying life. So, welcome, 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 everyone. Today, we're going to dive into work life harmony as a therapist, and I'm going to give you some tips to avoid burnout. This is only going to be about 10 minutes long, hopefully, because I sometimes we'll get to talking and it goes longer, but I want to be able to help professionals who were dedicated to working with others understand the importance of their well-being while committing themselves and servicing into service and leading programs that are successful and working with clients directly and caring about them. We got to be able to make sure that we can take that good work and make sure we are living a life that allows us to not be burnt out and to have a quality of life that we would enjoy ourselves. So in this video, we're going to go over some practical strategies to maintain a healthy work-life balance, setting boundaries with work hours, with prioritizing self-care and delegating tasks. Now, I got other areas that I could talk about in general, but I felt like I want to keep it down to 3 tips under whatever topic I'm doing. So I hope that these 3 will be something, one of these 3 will allow you to get something related to making sure that you as a therapist are taking control of your schedule and identifying what it means to not burn out. So let's start with setting boundaries. When I say this, the first thing people think about is relationship boundaries, but sometimes the first thing I think about when it comes to boundaries on ourselves as therapists is our work hours. This might sound simple, but it can be extremely challenging for therapists who are used to doing things for others to really be able to be strict in this area around their boundaries. Define your work hours going in, especially when you have a private practice. Establishing a clear start and end time for your workday can help you to try to stick to as closely as possible a schedule that allows you to include yourself. This may include days as well as evenings because I understand the demographics and the dynamics of our work, but understanding with those boundaries, we need to then make sure we're communicating it to others, specifically our clients and our family. So help them to know that this is the boundaries I've created for structure and predictability in my schedule and in my life. So I always consider client when I'm thinking about what my day looks like, I'm considering clients, scheduling time for documentation, and a planned break. So really looking at if I'm going to tell my clients these things, how am I also showing up that same way for myself? So think about it from this perspective. Defining your work hours includes your scheduling time with your clients, your documentation time, and your planned break. That's going to create what is considered the boundaries around structure and predictability, which helps us when it comes to being less at risk for burnout in our work. Limit after hours communication. I am not going to tell you one way or the other the strict boundaries around if you talk to clients or if you don't. It's easy to feel like you're obligated to do things like check your emails, respond to emails, client messages after hours. But doing so can help to blur lines between work and personal life. Consider setting an automatic email response for after hour messages, letting clients know that when you are available next and or not responding at all. For me, my clients are very aware that I don't do emergencies and I don't do crisis. And so they have contact information for those places. And I say this understanding that clients do have the dynamics of crisis and emergencies that may happen where they do need to get in touch with me. But when I'm saying something like, oh, I had a hurtful day at work, I don't need to hear that. We're going to see each other next week or next session, and we can flush through what it means to have strategies to respond to those coping mechanisms that may not include me as your therapist in the immediate plan. It may include me when you come to see me, but knowing how to set those boundaries and keeping from blurring the lines after work can allow for you to have a better personal life for yourself. Turn off work notifications outside of hours. By turning off email or client messaging notifications during personal times, you give yourself mental space to truly disconnect from the work. This can be as simple as setting a do not disturb mode on your phone, which is what I do at around, I think it's 9 o'clock now. My personal and my personal is 9 o'clock. My business one is, I think, now 5 because I no longer do anything after in the evening. But setting it on do not disturb will allow you to have the time to really start putting the boundary in place to have the life that you intend to have after work. Setting these boundaries isn't just about protecting your time. It's also about maintaining your energy and your mental well-being. When you take the time to rest, recharge, when you go back to work, then you're more refreshed and available for your client. So it's not just about setting a boundary so that you just don't have to do it. It really helps you to learn to be able to take care of yourself and your client around and provide your client the opportunity not to blur lines that doesn't keep the therapeutic relationship. So now let's talk about what that means. It allows us, once we create boundaries, to prioritize our self-care. Self-care is more than just a trend. It is essential when it comes to being a therapist and avoiding burnout. As a therapist, we encourage our clients to take so many engaging opportunities with themselves and taking care of themselves, but we on our own sense don't always do that for ourselves. So identify rejuvenating activities. Self-care looks different for each of us, so I can't tell you exactly what will be the thing for you, but self-care, as it looks different for everyone, you can still start to create plans of things that might start to benefit you. So for example, if you don't know if mindfulness or working out or exercises may help you, you start with creating that in your plan to see how it feels, to get the stamina, to get the strength. This could be anything, and this could be done with anything. So mindfulness, meditation, other hobbies. So for example, I love creating earrings. That's one of my things I used to do all the time. I realized recently that I haven't been doing it. So I sat down and I started to put back in place when I'm going to put in my schedule at least once a month, creating earrings, even if they're going to be gifts for the holidays for people. Being able to identify those hobbies that help you to feel peaceful and calm and separated from the seriousness of your work will help you in the long run. So schedule these activities into your week, your month, and your day if possible. Treat them as non-negotiables. I am putting it in my schedule to do this once a month related to making earrings because I know what it feels like. It's a mindful activity as well as it's something that I enjoy doing for the aesthetics as well afterwards. I enjoy making things that look pretty for others as well as myself. Set micro self-care breaks during your day. Self-care doesn't have to be a long, elaborate process. It can be a small intentional break between sessions that helps you to transition from one to the other. For instance, taking a few minutes to do something as simple as deep breathing that we teach our clients can also, well, for me, I do deep breathing and stretching because I get tired of sitting in the chair. And then also recently, in order to incorporate some support also as a community, my project specialist and I take walks. So we not only get fresh air, but we actually are now moving our bodies. So these micro breaks, which our walk is about 15 to 20 minutes long, is not that long, but it allows us to prevent emotional burnout and fatigue while preparing for our clients. The last thing when it comes to prioritizing your self-care is creating things that can become rituals in terms of transitioning from work to home. When working from home or even in the home, we sometimes don't ever take the break. So it's helpful to have a ritual that signals this is the end of my workday. This could be as simple as changing your clothes, taking a short walk, like I said earlier, or practicing a mindfulness activity or exercise. This could signal for your brain that the day has ended and now you're shifting into personal time. So, for example, one of the things I say or have talked about in the past is that during the pandemic, I found myself working because there was so much going on. People needed us. And so I found myself sometimes going into the evenings where I never took a break or never had a moment to breathe. And I stopped myself and started to practice coloring as my transition from work to home. It allowed me to know that the second I do my mindfulness coloring, I am no longer at work. I am no longer responsible for thinking of a plan to help this program, that program, or these individuals or that individuals. By prioritizing your self-care, you're not only investing in your health, but you're also effectively modeling your behavior for your clients as well as your family and your life. When you are cared for, then you are able to better care for others. It really is that simple. Now that we've covered self-care, let's talk about our final strategy, which is one that will come in time for our solo practitioners. So please hear me out. This is not always going to be something you can do in the beginning of your practice, but delegate, delegate, delegate. Delegating can be a game changer when it comes to reducing stress and finding balance. Many therapists feel like they have to do every single thing, but the mindset can lead to being overwhelmed, especially when you are trying to balance clinical hours with administrative things and you're running a practice. You really have to learn, what can I give away or learn to do differently. So identify tasks that you can delegate. Think about the time consuming tasks that aren't directly related to clinical care. Common examples are billing, scheduling, insurance claims, administrative paperwork. These tasks are essential, but they don't necessarily need to be done by you, right? So sometimes we think, well, I can't afford to, or this and that. But what we don't realize is that we're risking our lives in order to save 1%, or excuse me, nowadays they're charging way too much for the billing, but you get what I mean. But even if it's not billing, scheduling, insurance claims, like learning what you can start to delegate small can also help you learn later on. So if you are unable to delegate it to someone on staff, because you're a solo practitioner and we get it, consider outsourcing. If you're running your own practice, consider hiring a virtual assistant or using an online service to do certain tasks like answer your phones or send out messages. There are plenty of companies that specialize in just administrative support for therapists. So you can focus them for just one aspect of your work so that you can separate and go back to the part that made you passionate about wanting to be a therapist, wanting to be available for your clients. So even if you're outsourcing just a portion, social media, scheduling, whatever the case is, you can find that aspect that it gives you back a little bit of freedom. Invest in automation tools. If hiring isn't an option, because sometimes it's not, try using technology to streamline processes. Automate scheduling tools, for example, can be a lifesaver in the beginning of your career. So learning how to make sure that your calendars are syncing so that people can set up or book appointments with you and send out reminders automatically in that system. Many billing and documentation platforms offer this anyway. So if you are in most of them for the purpose of keeping your clients' information confidential, you should easily be able to add on a feature or something that can ultimately allow for you to get a scheduling or automation within your scheduling. So my point here is learning to delegate according to where you are in your practice. No, you may not be able to hire quite yet. However, it may be down the road you will. But think about automation tools. Think about outsourcing to a VA. Think about then, once you are having a staff, what can you learn to delegate? Delegating allows you to create more time for your client and self-care while reducing the mental load of running a private practice. Remember, delegation is not a sign of weakness, it is a strategy to prevent burnout. In conclusion, because I said I was going to try to do this under 10 minutes, it is important to set boundaries within your work hours, prioritize self-care, and delegate tasks. As you are learning to grow, thrive, and really, really consider your well-being, these three areas can start to give you the opportunity to feel less overwhelmed in your practice. Maintaining a healthy work-life harmony/balance is not only crucial for your health, but also for the health of your practice. By taking care of yourself, you are better able to support the clients and sustain a fulfilling career in therapy. Thank you for watching, and remember, finding balance is an ongoing journey. So remember to be gentle with yourself and make adjustments as you need. If you have any questions or want to share your own strategies, please leave them in the comments below. Let's see how we can support each other in our community and to see what helps us to have a good journey of well-being. I hope you get good care of yourselves. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I am sure in the bio there is something for you to consider to support your actual self-care. I know that I offer a self-care personal journal that is also going to be in the link, can be found in our comment section and or the link below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I always like to hear what you would like me to talk about when it comes to private practice or wellness, Wednesday wisdom. So feel free to also tell me what you'd like to talk about. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be well.